Hey mamas, welcome to another episode of Motherhood Makeup and Mindset. I am your host Destiny, and y'all, today's guest is like super dope. She is a business consultant for introverts like yours truly. She is God-fearing. She is so sweet and easy to talk to, a mama of two, a wife, and she really knows her stuff. I have the pleasure of introducing to you all Coach Dee of Pinkleaf Consulting. Hey
there.
How are you? Do you want to share anything with everybody that I didn't mention already?
I think you had everything covered, but today's a great day. I consult on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I wrapped that up a couple of hours ago, but I'm looking forward to spending this time with you and your community tonight.
Yay. Thank you. Okay. So I usually start with an icebreaker, and it's going to be two truths and a lie. Come up with three statements. I got to pick which one is the lie.
Okay.
Don't overthink it.
I just want you guys to hear the introvert speaking to the introvert who puts the introvert on the spot, asking for me to come up with three things and not to overthink it. Those are all oxymorons that do not go together in introvert world. But okay, so I speak Italian. I used to play the violin, and I graduated top of my class in college.
You came up with those very quickly. By the way.
Mm-hmm. Like my brain just went into go mode, right?
Oh my God. Okay. See, it's tough for me too because I don't know which one is the lie. Okay. You speak Italian. You said you graduated top of your class and you play the violin. You play the violin. Is that the lie?
It is not.
What?
I don't speak Italian. I do speak Francais. I speak French.
Okay, so how long have you been able to play the violin?
Started playing the violin when I was a little girl, actually. And if we're being honest, that might be a lie because I don't know that I can still play because I haven't picked up a violin since I outgrew my last one. But I started playing when I was a little girl when I was 10 years old.
Oh, wow. That's why I like the icebreakers, because you always learn something about the person that you wouldn't normally get off of social media or like in a consulting meeting or something like that. So that's actually really cool. But our topic tonight is strategy and intention within motherhood. Now, you are the strategy and intention queen. Okay. You have taught me about strategy and intention in my business. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But first, I want to know what motivated you to start Pinkleaf Consulting.
Pinkleaf Consulting actually started by accident. So I was the director of sales and marketing in my previous life. And because we have to network, obviously, and as an introvert, I never wanted to go out to other people's places. I didn't control the number of guests, the food, the flow. So I began to host these networking events at my property and invite small businesses in the area. Month over month, they would come to me with business questions, and I would just give them feedback based on my business experience being in sales and marketing. And that is actually how Pinkleaf Consulting was birthed. One week, one of the businesses asked, "Can I pay you for a one-on-one?" And I just kind of paused for a second. I was like, yes, you can. And that was really the beginning of it because it wasn't something that started on purpose. I had no idea that I was going to be an entrepreneur.
Wow. Yeah. That is really cool. So how long, can you share with the people how long you have been doing Pinkleaf Consulting? Because this is not the only thing that she does, guys.
So Pinkleaf Consulting was birthed April of 2019. So it has been 5 years for me here at Pinkleaf Consulting.
That's amazing. Congratulations. 5 years is a goal.
Yeah. It has been a journey, an emotional roller coaster, but I would not trade it. I really would not.
That's awesome. So how have the skills that you have gained in your career and your business helped you juggle the demands of motherhood and running your household? Because I'm sure that there's been pieces of it that you've been able to incorporate in your life. Because, I mean, strategy, intention, you need that at home too. So how have you been able to use those skills?
I would say from corporate, obviously leadership skills, and you never think about motherhood as leadership, but really you're the person leading your home and you're the manager of the house. I would say that. Also for the past, 17 years in corporate, I've had a team. And that can kind of correlate to the people who live in my house, right? Obviously, they're my children and my husband, but they are my team. So I would say having to always have many different things going on at one time, having to make decisions in the moment and having to consider each of the people on my team in corporate has directly been able to correlate into the home for sure.
Oh, that's good. Can you give us an example of like a specific example of where those skills have like transferred over you? Because you looked at your family like a team, and that's actually really good, because if we're all working together as a team, which is something I'm trying to get my kids to understand, we all live here. We're all doing this together. What example could you give us so that another mom that's listening would kind of be able to look at it that way too?
So for instance, before I started this business, I was, and this is a whole nother rabbit hole, but I was in nursing school. You could not tell me that I was not going to be a CRNP. Like this was my life's, exactly, right? This is my life's goal. So when I was in school and also working and managing the house, you know, we had a family meeting. Look, mom's in school this semester. Here's when I have to go to school. Here's my study time. So I even had time slots for the things that I had to do to take the classes. And we kind of rallied around. So my daughter cooked dinner on these days. On certain days when she didn't have volleyball, she would start the sides. On the days where my husband was home early, he would make the entree. So we really all huddled together. Like, look, this is what it is. Everyone has to do their part. And I let everyone pick the things that they wanted to do so that they would get done.
We talked about that recently, and that is like such a game changer, because then you're not forcing, especially the kids, to do something that they don't want to do, which then just makes it way more complicated.
Oh, for sure. Like my daughter, she would love to watch TV, like Lifetime. She's one of those people, I'm like that now too, has to have something in the background for her to do her tasks. Yeah. So she would just fold laundry while she was watching Lifetime on a Sunday, or while she was, so we even got my kids to start habit stacking. Like, okay, this has to be done. What else can you do while you're doing what you want to do and still get your chores around the house done? So it worked really well when they were younger.
That's good. How old were they when you kind of implemented this?
My son was about 6, and my kids are 7 years apart. So my daughter was 12, 13, and my son was about 5, 6.
So a reasonable age where a lot of our listeners are going to be able to hopefully implement this whole team mentality.
Yeah.
And we can maybe get a little bit more structure at home. Hopefully.
That's the goal. You know, I don't like chaos. And, you know, anytime you have multiple people living in a household, there's going to be some chaos. And I always say, control the things that you can control, because there's so much that you cannot. Yeah. And those are some of the things that we could definitely control.
That's good. That's good. How do you think being an introvert affects motherhood from one introvert to another?
Well, I'm God's favorite, okay? Because my husband and my kids are introverts. Oh. So I am definitely God's favorite, because
I see why you said that now.
My favorite niece is 8 years old, and she is an extrovert, and so help me God. Like, I don't know how, luckily my sister is not an introvert. She's more on the extroverted side, but I don't even know. I can't even imagine. So yeah, I'm God's favorite, and everyone in the house is introvert. So we got lucky.
That's so funny.
But what I will say is I used to feel guilty about removing myself from my family. Like, so if everyone's in the family room and I would need to recharge, I used to feel guilty, because then it's like, well, is mom being antisocial? Because I'm closing the door. Like, this is real mommy time. So I kind of explained to them, you know, when I need to recharge, I'm going to go up and close my door. Like, my daughter would put on headphones. My son would go to his room, but it just felt like it was different when it was mommy who is the one leading the family. So, you know, those are conversations that I had very early on about what my needs were. And even explaining to them, like, I had a very demanding job. I had a team of 7, a direct report who was, so help me God, you know, just was always, people were coming to me all day long for things. And so between work and mommyhood, I really needed to recharge and just reset. And I would use that time to do that.
That is so good. Clearly, we're not God's favorite, because my husband and I are both introverts. He is he is way more introverted than I am. Like, you've seen, I can turn it on And he's pretty much like chilled 100% of the time.
Uh-huh.
But then we have Lyric, who is probably more introverted. And then we have the other two that are not. So it is a struggle. Like today, for example, I had every intention of, I was considering us going somewhere, but I was more like, I would much rather get some things done at home, maybe go outside for a little bit or whatever. And the younger two were turned on, like they were on 1,000 for probably the first like 2.5 hours of our morning. And I'm like trying to talk to my mom and they're like screaming and running around. And she was like, they're bored. And I'm like, they have a million things to do.
Right.
But it wasn't until we left out and I had to like run them ragged by going from this store and that store and that store until they were like, okay, we can calm down for an hour. And then it starts all over again.
Well, you see what I did. I shared my schedule that I created with my niece because she was with me for 6 hours. And so I literally went in and typed up and laminated a schedule so she could see it as well. Cause obviously she's 8, she can read, but it was like engagement, downtime, engagement, downtime. So I rotated every single activity so that we'd have an activity. We would do something very short together and then we'd have our own time to do our own things. And luckily, we're not huge iPad families, but listen, we are realists in our family. And sometimes you need the headphones and iPad just like I need the headphones and my phone. So we got through it, but it definitely was intentional with the way that I layered the activity so that I wouldn't be burnt out.
Yeah, I definitely tried to implement that today. And when we finished dinner and I said that I had to record this, Lyric was like, again? And I said, please list all the things we've done together today. Please.
Sometimes these kids think that they're like, my niece, she's like, are we going anywhere? I said, we're not going. She calls me Dia. I said, Dia doesn't like to drive like your mom. Your mom didn't tell you? She said, yeah, she told me. I said, okay, so we're not leaving the house. She thinks that she has to go somewhere. And I explained to her, you don't need to do multiple things in a day. You can do one thing and then you need to, figure out what else. She thinks that she's supposed to go multiple places every single day.
That is how mine are. But in full disclosure, I apparently wasn't always like this. Like my mom says all the time, I was that kid that had to be doing something 24/7. So I guess it's just payback. But at some point, I calmed down, and I will say I calmed down even more when I got married because, like I said, my husband is way more chill, and it forced me to be like, okay. And then I got tired.
Because now we got these 3 kids.
Yeah. Now I'm really like, listen, we ain't gotta go.
But you know what I'll say too? I find that men introverts are very different than women. My husband is just like your husband. My husband will go into the man cave and stay there. It would be times, Des, where we would have get-togethers, family, like intimate gatherings at the house, and my husband would be in the basement.
Mm.
And I was saying, honey, I'm not hosting this by myself. You need to come upstairs at least for a little while. Yeah. But he would come, make his rounds, and retreat again. He's gotten a lot better over the years. But like when we first got him, we'd be having people over and he'd just be in the basement. Like, no, this is not my jam.
If I can see that happening if I wouldn't like make a big fuss about that. Because he's very like, if you're not directly talking to him, there's no need for him to try to be in the conversation. He is perfectly fine just chilling. And I had to learn to chill. And then chilling turned to tired. And now our kids are way more active than I am. I asked the girls on Sunday, I said, how can I make this homeschool year good for you guys? And they both were like, can we just not be home all the time?
Homeschool.
I said, that's fine. I do understand. And I did promise that which is also why I didn't decorate and all that this time. I understand we can sometimes go to the library. We can sometimes go to your grandparents' house. We can do different things, but you're also in soccer. You're also in this and you're also in that. And there's going to be play dates. That doesn't mean that between those things, I still have to find stuff for y'all to do.
Especially in the winter when it's dark at 4 p.m. Like there's not going to be a whole lot going on in the winter.
No. That's just too much.
Right. No, thank you.
So I mentioned before that you actually have multiple businesses, right? That you are doing amazing at. And your kids they're both grown, right? I know
Yes.
they're both grown, but do you think that you would have been able to handle everything that you're doing now if your kids were younger?
Say probably, but you know how I am with everything. I'm not overdoing anything
Mm-hmm.
because when my kids were younger, what year? In 2004, I had a wedding and event planning business.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was doing that. At the same time, we had started a catering business for my husband, who's a chef by vocation. So I was the face and the salesperson for his business. And at the same time, I can't even believe this, but I was even selling Scentsy and working. And my kids were active in school. So I guess
So
the
yeah.
answer would be yes. And I'm thinking about it in this moment. I didn't even realize I had that much going on. But again, I've never had a problem with boundaries. I've never had a problem with saying that this is happening on this day and this time.
Yeah.
And then, like I told you, this business is my front facing business, but everything
Mm-hmm.
else is by referral. Like I still plan weddings and events and bridal showers and things by referral. I still coach parents of children with autism and special needs
Mm-hmm.
by referral. So none of that stuff is front facing and I'm not actively selling or marketing. And so I think
Yeah.
that that's what makes it a little bit easier.
That makes sense. And I actually have learned a lot about that from watching you because my hands are in a lot too that even everybody doesn't realize because it's not like advertised, like you said. But
Hmm.
there are days that it becomes a lot. And it's like, okay, those things that y'all actually don't know about, I'd be perfectly fine if that you don't ask me to do them sometimes.
Exactly. Keep not knowing about them.
Yeah. Because it becomes a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm still watching and I'm still learning and praying, of course, and asking God
Hmm.
for the guidance to know where the strategy in this all has to take place. And I feel like I'm in a season right now where he's instructing me to make sure that my husband and my kids are first, and then he's going to lead me
Hmm.
through all the rest of it. And I feel like that is probably the best strategy that I could
Hmm.
have, although there's so many strategies out. If I'm not talking to you and I'm solely listening to like social media and everything else, there's a million different rules that I could be following.
Yeah.
But if I'm just like, okay, there's God. And the great thing I love about our relationship too is I know that 90% of the time, if God told me something, even if I come to you with help with the strategy, he's going to confirm it through you too,
I
which is a
know. Isn't that
blessing.
so beautiful?
It's a
When that
blessing.
happens, I'm just like, thank you, God.
For
It's like, thank you,
real.
God. Yeah.
For real. Because I don't feel
Yeah.
like I have to come to you and it's like, oh, Dee about to be on my case.
Yeah. You know, the first thing I'm going to say is give yourself some grace. That's one of the first things that's going to come out of my
Yes.
mouth.
It makes it so much better. So much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, let's see. How important is it to be intentional about your mommy village when you're trying to juggle all of this? We are quick to push aside our friends and our family, especially as introverts.
Um, I have to be honest. What I'll say is I think becoming a mom forces you to find new friends, especially if
Mm.
you have people that don't have friends or if you have friends that their children are in a different age range as your kids.
Yeah.
Because you need someone that can understand what you're going through like right now, like in
Mm-hmm.
this phase of life in child rearing and motherhood. Um, but I would say a village is so very important because even though we're super mamas and we can do things on our own and we don't like to ask for help, especially like the women that I serve and that are in my circle, we're all high achievers. This
Yeah.
is what we do. We do it with our eyes closed and we cry in the shower, right?
Yeah.
But instead of, or before we get to that point, we have to be willing to ask for help. And instead we start going through our mind, well, she's got a kid too, or she had to work all week and maybe she's not. And we start closing doors before we even knock and ask the person on the other side to open the
Mm-hmm.
door. So I think just, being vulnerable, which is hard for us as Black women to do as well, right? Even with the
Yeah.
people that we love. So just being vulnerable, asking for the help that you need and planning ahead. I don't know. I think it was you and I that were talking about, or it might have been somebody, because I've been talking, God has been sending moms my way. And this is like, what is this, God? Uh, but just even scheduling, those play dates in advance, like, okay, the third Saturday, even if you don't have anything planned, hey, do you want to let so-and-so get together? They can come over to your house and next time she can come over to my house. So immediately reciprocating so that that other mom can also feel the relief that you're feeling if she's helping you out.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think that if we kept that mentality, we would not feel like we're in this journey alone,
Yeah.
which I'm seeing a lot in the moms that I deal with and that I talk to. The biggest problem is we all feel like we're alone and that nobody
Hmm.
understands and nobody sees what we're going through. But on the flip side of that, a lot of it is because we are not allowing anybody to see or to find out, or we're just holding it all in for whatever reason. So I do think that is really, really important. And one of my heart's desires is to allow women to realize, especially Black women and moms, we don't have to be in this alone. Like, if we can be intentional, because we also don't want to just have friends just because, like, those
Yeah.
friends need to be in the same, like you said, in the same life period that you're in. And for me, they need to have the same, or be working towards a relationship with God. They need to be happy in their relationship, whether it's single or married or fiance, whatever it is. We're not
Yeah.
having miserable people around me is not really going to be beneficial.
No, we're not. That's not really anybody I want in my circle because I'm positive 99% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am filled with joy, and I want to sprinkle that on the people around me. But just
Yeah.
like joy can get sprinkled, whatever those people are going through can get sprinkled too. And I don't want that
Yeah.
energy on me. You can keep that over there.
I
Positivity
agree.
only over here.
I agree, because we got enough going on. We have
Listen.
more than enough going on.
I can't deal with it. That's another thing too, a boundary I had to set. And because I was like the go-to for everybody in my family. I'm everybody's rock. I'm everybody's problem solver. I'm everybody's this and that. And when I started my business, God was like, you got to let that go. You have to
Yeah.
focus on you. And I'm like, well, how do I do that for my entire life?
Yeah.
This has been who I am. And it was one of the hardest things that I would have to do when people would call me. And I had to learn to say, you know what? I actually don't have the capacity for this today.
Mm.
And that was so hard. But baby, once I started saying it, it was so liberating. Like I would say that thing in a minute now. Oh, Dee, ooh, you know what? It's not a good time. I'm at capacity today, or I'm not. And like, who's going to question that? How
Yeah,
dare anyone question you don't know what my capacity is.
that's true.
But I began to say that too, because all of the energy God was showing me that I was going to need it to grow this business. And I just did not have it to
Mm.
give. And he's like, you've given your entire life to everyone. It's your season. You need to give to you. And so that was a huge shift too in me starting this business and being the go-to for so many people in my life.
Hmm. Per usual, that was for me. So
That is like capacity. Let me write this down.
I said in another episode, like, y'all don't realize how often I'm sitting behind this mic, like, yeah. This is not just for y'all. I needed to hear that too.
Yeah. It's a
Sometimes the
difference
host needs
maker.
the reminder. Yeah. Because you're
Yeah.
right. If we're pouring our cup out to everybody else, that's
Yeah.
not actually
Yeah.
strategic at all. That's just simple at
And
that point.
people are supposed to get what? Our overflow. I'm not supposed to give you what I have in my cup. You're supposed to get my overflow. So if I'm at capacity, I
Mm.
have no overflow to give you.
Oh, wow.
But when that overflow comes back, we're going,
Yeah.
but yeah, if I'm at capacity, that means that my cup, you know how we learned in science, the meniscus, that little bubble on the top of that, that's where I am. And if one penny drops in here, it's going to burst and I'm not going to be pouring into anyone. It's going to be all over the floor.
Ooh, that is so good. I'm telling y'all. Every episode so far this season has been something I needed to hear. Um,
See?
I know, right? God is good. Um,
All the time. All the time.
what advice would you give to other moms who are looking to begin a business, but they feel like they don't have time to dedicate to it and handle their families at the same time?
Structure your family first. Get the structure that you need in your home because then you can see the gaps and you can see where you can plug your business. Because I'm a firm believer that your business has to fit your real life. You know that I say it in my content all
Yeah.
the time. Like if this is what real life looks like for you, we have to put it all out there and see, okay, where's the light shining in? Because that means there's a couple of gaps and we can plug some things there. So I would say structure your home, get your village intact, have those conversations with your significant other and with your children if they are of age, and share the goal with them, right? Because anytime I feel like when people are on your team or on your side, if you tell them the why and the what you're trying to accomplish, they are much more likely to jump on board with you.
Mm-hmm.
So you structure family, structure home, take inventory of your capacity, your mental capacity, your emotional capacity, and what you can tolerate, because your business is going to be there. And even if you're trying to grow it more exponentially than you can, it's still going to fizzle out on the back end. So structure what you need to structure and then add your business on top of that.
That is so good. When I finally realized that, and I'm pretty sure it was through talking to you, because like I said before, listening to everybody else, it was just like, go, 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 go. You got to post, you got to do this, you got to do that. Mm-hmm. And it's exhausting.
Yeah.
We don't really have the option necessarily not to completely not post, but going from doing it and trying to stay on top of the constantly changing rules to understanding that it needed to fit into my life made such a huge difference. And now it could be something as simple as understanding y'all get clips in my stories today because I got nothing else.
Seriously. And I say all the time that my capacity today might be different than my capacity tomorrow. I might have 110% today. Yeah. Tomorrow we might be at 40. Guess what? You're going to get 40. Yeah. Like I can't give what I do not have. You know, and another thing I tell my introverts is use a scheduler. I don't know. People are just so against schedulers. Listen, I'm going to show my community, but there's going to be some days that content is going to be on auto post because my store is open every day. Like my store. That doesn't mean your store is open every day. That doesn't mean my other clients' stores are open every day. But my store is open every day. And even the days where I am not physically showing up, my content is showing up. Mm-hmm. Like you got to make it work for you.
Yeah. I definitely do love when I have it planned out enough to schedule it. And then it's like the funniest thing where people are like, well, I thought you were so-and-so place. Like, girl, I didn't forgot I even scheduled that.
Right. It relieves the stress of, oh, I didn't post today. Or, oh my God, I didn't post yesterday. I got to post today. Or my favorite from what am I going to post? You better not post nothing on the fly that doesn't have rhyme, reason, strategy, or intention. You better not. I'd rather you not post nothing. Don't you post about something that don't have nothing to do with your people or your business. Cause I think some very random things. I'm like, what is this attached to? Just on a little content island by itself. What is this? Please don't ever do that.
Learned that too. If it's random, just leave it alone.
Forgo it.
If you can't figure out a caption, just put it in your stories. Do something.
And then I truly believe that you could tie anything back to your niche. Like you can absolutely tie, if you put your little thinking cap on and you think about and have a heart for your person, don't get me started on the heart for your people, but having a heart for your people and what they really need to hear from you. If you think about them instead of thinking about yourself or what numbers this is going to do or what is going to, it's a whole different world, especially as a mompreneur.
Yeah, for real. But having a heart for your people is a game changer though. Like,
oh yeah,
it has completely changed everything for me. And that when we finally got to a point where I knew who I was supposed to talk to, it was again confirmation because it was like, I already knew. But, you know, it's a lot easier when you're talking to yourself. You can talk yourself out of a whole lot of stuff. But when you have somebody that is intentionally in your life and God has already put in your life to push you forward, and then that somebody being you is like, you know who you think you should probably talk to? And it's like, oh, I know.
And you're like, well, I was kind of talking to them a little bit, but I wasn't sure, but I was still on the fence, but I kind of was, right? A little bit like, you start backpedaling, and then it's almost like a light bulb moment happens for my clients, and they're like, go back through your content. Well, this was for moms. Mm-hmm. This was for moms too. And then you have like this, like the skies open up and you have a moment.
That's because we be testing it out. And then if it don't work the first time, it's like, oh, I'm not doing that.
You are so right. That's exactly what's happening.
It didn't work. I'm going to go back in my little bubble. Nobody saw it, so it's okay. And then you come along and you're like, I saw it.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw what you were trying to do. Let's talk about it. Go under the rug, bring it out. Come on.
We need people like you though, us introverts trying to be out
Yeah,
here promoting ourselves. It's hard.
it's hard, and I've got some practice. Obviously, I've got some years under my belt, but it's still sometimes hard for me.
What?
There's still days where I'm like, okay, no, that's not self-promoting. Cause it's a constant reconditioning against your introverted personality. Cause you think our personality wants to do this and this is who I've been for my whole life, but it's like, no, 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 no. So it's almost like you're having these conversations where if we're having dissonance where it's like, I know I need to do this, but I don't want to do it. But I'll sell in a minute. Listen, I will sell to a stranger at the anywhere. So cause I don't care about hearing no. And I think that's a big thing for my introverts. We take it so personally when someone says no. It's like,
Yeah. How dare
what do
you?
you know? How dare you? And it's like, no, okay, I'll see you next week. It does not faze me. But I also started sales at a time where people would hang up in your face. Hi, this is Dee, call from Click. It's like, oh, okay. So yeah, I'm unfazed by the no.
We don't like no. That's interesting. I feel like we don't like it because it's like you don't know what it took for me to actually ask you, and then you gonna have the nerve to tell me no.
And I perfected it. I looked over this thing 26 times, checked for errors, tested it myself, sent myself 17 emails, had my sister look at it, audit, and you saying no? What do you think this is? No is not.
Josephine, I don't like it. It's true.
It's so true.
It is so true. So, I probably should have asked this a while ago, but like, what exactly is an introvert? Because it impacts our entire life, motherhood, our relationship, our businesses. What is an introvert?
So a lot of people think that introversion is shyness and we don't like people and this and that. And really what it is what we need to be our best selves. It's how our body responds to interaction with other humans and other people. So it is how we have to internally recharge. So an extrovert, they get charged up when they're out and about and they're with people and things are happening and going on around them. As introverts, we much rather take in the stimuli and then spend time with ourselves. So now we're going to process it. We're going to break it down. We're going to put it in categories, add columns, highlight. But, but that's how we recharge introspectively by spending time with ourselves to decipher what we need to decipher and to get the energy to do the things that we need to do. So it's really about how you process energy and how you charge and recharge and what you need to do to show up as your best self.
Yeah. Do you think somebody can be both?
Oh, for sure. So for a while, I thought I was an ambivert, which is, right there on the line. Like you may hear them called introverted extroverts or extroverted introverts and things like that. So for a while, I was like, I'm an ambivert. And I really am because I would say I'm probably 85% introvert and 15% extrovert when I'm working. But I think that you can have a dominant personality and then have traits of the other. Like I had one of my really good friends call me yesterday. She's like, girl, I'm as extrovert can get, right? She said, what is happening now that I'm 47? I have introvert tendencies. I don't want long conversations. She said, I went to a conference earlier. They want to have dinner. I just wanted to go to my room and relax. She's like, I'm turning into D. What is happening to me? And I told her, I said, no, you are still very extroverted. I said, but you have some introvert tendencies that are now showing through. And she's like, oh my God, this is just crazy. I don't even feel like myself. So we just had that conversation yesterday. It's so funny. But I definitely think you can have, like when I'm in sales mode, people think I'm an extrovert. When I'm out and about networking, people think that I'm an extrovert. When I tell people I'm an introvert, they're like, no, you're not. I had someone tell me that to my face. You're not an introvert. And I was a little sarcastic. I said, well, I've known me longer than you've known me.
I mean,
I'm at a social event and I was networking. My niche, my clients, my target audience was in this room. So you think I'm gonna be a butterfly on the wall? No, ma'am. I'm gonna go get my money.
Give me my money.
Give me my money.
That is so funny. Once I realized what the actual definition of an introvert was, it made a lot of sense for myself and being able to explain things to other people, because I am that person. I can turn it on if I need to, if I'm in an event, if we're on live, if we're doing this, I can turn it on. But the second that I hit stop, I'm going to be like,
Listen,
everybody leave me alone.
when we get off of this podcast, so I recharged a little bit before. I laid across the bed and listened to some music and did some doodles and drawing. And when we get off from here, because I told you I consulted earlier too today.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go and take a eucalyptus shower, and I'm going to lay across my bed again and probably watch something on Netflix, and I will recharge.
Yeah. I need to do the same. I spent the day, like I told you, going every which way with the kids. So I'm already at like a level higher than I probably should be.
Capacity? You're at capacity?
But I'm good. I can turn it on for this. But then after, or at another event, and then we'll be getting in the car and everybody's like, why are you so quiet? I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, please don't talk to me until we get home. Wait, these go everywhere with me.
Really?
Everywhere. If there's any given moment where it's too much going on, I need to tune people out, I am putting them on. I do not care. They go everywhere with me.
I feel like I have to kind of force myself out of it though in public, because I can very much be, whether I'm with the kids or not, I can be the straight face. I don't need to talk to you if we're out. But I'm kind of learning to not be so much like that, because I have to be more approachable now, and I have to kind of get ready to. She's saying not me.
Because I have a talk to me on my forehead. No matter, everywhere I go, people strike up conversation, like total strangers, never saw you before in my life. I was at brunch. I took myself to brunch a couple of weeks ago, and I'm just sitting, and I'm like, whatever I'm doing, this lady comes and parks her tail right on the seat next to me. Seats galore. She sits right there and starts asking me what I think about her haircut.
What?
I swear to you. And she's like, my husband doesn't like it, but I think I like it. It makes me and just mouth vomit. I couldn't believe it. I was like, so then she said whatever. I put my I had pods because it was a restaurant. I didn't want to bring these back in my ear, and she kept going. She kept going, baby. She kept going.
You do have a friendly, like, demeanor, though. I feel like you're probably the same everywhere, but for her to just sit down and just blurt out her whole life story is a lot. She would have gotten the eyebrow raised from me, and that's what I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to work on not being like,
baby, I know that she's going to apply to Crate and Barrel. Her daughter lives in Florida, is coming up for the weekend with her grands. I mean, her whole life story, and I'm just trying to enjoy a salad.
Well, my kid, like, Lyric wants me to know all her friends, and then it's, can my mom give you her number? And can you, so I have to, I'm learning, because my babies, they want their friends to connect with their mom, and I'm like, okay.
Well, yeah, I guess that's kind of different. You do have to Yeah, you may have to be able to do that a little bit more with it when the kiddos are smaller. This is true.
And then my whole brand is about mom, so I can't be like, I guess. And then they find out what.
You're a fraud. She's a fraud. Yeah, no, that's true. So especially to other moms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, sorry, Dan, I got nothing for you. Yeah, no, you do. Oopsie.
That sucks.
But the more vocal you are about your introversion, because, I would tell someone in a minute, oh, no, I need to recharge. Oh, no, I've done enough. So the more vocal you are about it, the other moms will understand, too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people think, oh, she's not friendly. She's standoffish. No, I'm recharging internally, but you're still talking.
Thankfully, I haven't been in that situation, like, in person yet. So.
Okay.
We're in the clear. It's more like getting my family to understand, which I've been more vocal about it now that I understand it. So they're perfectly fine with me just being like, I'm done. I have nothing left is my my go-to right now. I have nothing else, nothing left, nothing to say. Catch me tomorrow. I'm done.
I love that. And I know we're not talking about this, but since we're talking about mommies and all the things I love, and I know I told you this privately, but even the personal boundaries that you begin to set in your life so that you have capacity for all the things that have to happen and for the things that you desire to have happen in your business. So I love to see that you're protecting your energy with those boundaries.
Thank you. I have to definitely, I don't have a choice is what it feels like. Like the workshop we did the other day, I was like, I literally cannot do anything else today. I can't, I think I might have gone through like 2 bags of stuff that I bought them for school. And that was it. I was like, I have to save my energy because one, I'm already nervous and I need all of the energy to literally do what I feel like God is telling us to do. So yeah, it would be foolish of me to go in there and be half asleep and I'm trying to relay a message because your brain doesn't function well if you're exhausted either.
No. And your brain will tell you, okay, we're done. Like, you know, sometimes we'll still try and push it. Your brain, listen, you just read this 7 times. We're not going to process it. We're done. You ever try to read something again? Like, did I just read this?
Yes.
Yeah, your brain has turned off. It's not doing anything else.
Yeah, that happened I think the night before or 2 nights before that we did the workshop and we both went live. I don't think you were on that one, but we were a hot mess. It was hilarious. Nobody minded, but it was so funny because like my iPad fell, my phone fell. It was, you could tell we were just like, sign up. Okay. We have been doing this for months. Please.
You coming or no?
Or no.
Yeah. Right.
Oh my God. That's funny. Well, I know that I have learned a lot from you as my coach. And I also know that the women who have been listening to this have been able to receive something that they can implement in their own lives and their businesses and their businesses to come. So I really, really appreciate you taking your time away from your regrouping to come have this conversation with me. Where can they find you on social media or email, wherever you want them to try to connect with you?
So I am Pinkleaf Consulting in all the places. My email is d@pinkleafconsulting.com and my website is pinkleafconsulting.com.
Yeah. And of course, I want you guys to go ahead and follow her and engage. I've been saying that all season. Engage. Don't just follow. Yes. We need the engagement. I'll have all the information in the show notes. While you're at it, make sure you are subscribed, leaving a review or comment on the podcast episodes so that other moms can be inspired as well. Thank you all for tuning in to season 2 of Motherhood, Makeup, and Mindset, where we release a new episode every Wednesday for your midweek pick-me-up. See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Motherhood, Makeup, and Mindset podcast. Remember to keep chasing your dreams and become the woman God created you to be.